Hello, friends. I hope you're doing well. Today's painting is of some beautiful, colorful buildings standing side by side. I'm going to draw them with a dip pen and then bring them to life with watercolor. Step by step, I'll share the whole process with you. First of all, I'd like to thank the photographer for capturing such a wonderful reference. I'll also share their ID here so you can explore their work and maybe get ideas for your own projects. I always start with the basics. Using my dip pen and waterproof ink, I sketch the main shapes of the buildings. Since I'll be painting with watercolor, waterproof ink is important. If you don't have a dip pen, no worries. You can use waterproof fine liners that are widely available, like Unipin pens. I have several sizes myself: 0.1, 0.7, and 0.6. What I like about dip pens is that you can create different line weights just by adjusting the pressure. I even use a broader nib sometimes working with the flat side to create thicker lines. You'll see this especially in the rooftops and in the deeper shadows. While drawing, I hold the pen loosely around the middle because I actually like my lines to be a little shaky. Instead of one perfect stroke, I sometimes make several overlapping lines. With a thinner pen, these back and forth strokes are really effective for adding depth and emphasis. As you can see, I start adding details. At one point, I drew two windows and completely forgot there should also be a door between them. It couldn't be erased, of course. If I had sketched first with pencil, I could have fixed it, but here I just made the door smaller and squeezed it in between the windows. Next comes one of my favorite parts, adding depth and shading with ink. Honestly, about 60% of my paintings are ink work, and watercolor makes up the rest. To create stronger depth, I move the pen slowly and load it with more ink so my lines come out darker and thicker. Now it's time for the watercolor. I start with Hansa Yellow. For the top of the second building, I use very diluted cadmium red, then a normal concentration in the middle, and finally a stronger, more saturated layer at the bottom. For another building, I use emerald green. I don't paint it in one flat tone. The lower part is darker and richer. For yet another building, I mix carmine red with a touch of sepia to bring it closer to a warm brown. My sepia is slightly reddish itself, which works nicely. I don't always close off my buildings completely with ink lines. For example, the yellow building runs right off the edge of the paper and I leave it open. The left side of the paper is open too. That's just my style. You might prefer to frame your painting with clear boundaries, and that's perfectly fine too. For the windows, I mix ultramarine with emerald green, which gives me a lovely shade leaning toward blue. My colors don't always match the reference photo exactly. That's intentional. I like to make things more vibrant. After all, when we use references, we don't have to copy them line for line or color for color. The goal is to create something that feels alive and beautiful. I also make sure not to paint everything in one flat layer. Some areas are lighter, others darker, depending on how much pigment I use. For today's painting, I don't build up too many layers. It stays fresh and simple. For the sky, I first place a few patches of ultramarine, then I rinse my brush, keep it slightly wet, and soften the lower edges to create a smooth gradient. If I feel more spots are needed, I add them in. Finally, I add highlights and details with a white pen. I also switch to a thicker dip nib to create bolder strokes and give more depth. To finish, I splash some watercolor around the subject to bring extra energy to the piece. And that's it. The painting is complete. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, I think you'll love my other paintings too. I'd be so happy if you subscribe to my channel, give the video a like, and leave me a comment. Your feedback means a lot to me, and I truly enjoy hearing your thoughts. I wish you all the best, stay creative and inspired.